Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Whatever time of day it is, and whatever day it is, I want to thank you for listening to another episode of AJH Politics. This is episode 16. I'm your host, Eric Herman. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Shawnee County Commission District 1. Most of the videos that I have been putting up this year have been to cover the Shawnee County Commission meetings, but this one is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about MART, M-A-R-T, and patriotism to humanists and pagans. For this reason, this episode will be in three parts. This is just the introduction. In part one, I will talk about MART, which is the Manhattan Area Resettlement Team. In part two, I'll talk about patriotism to humanists. And in part three, I'll talk about patriotism to pagans. I know these videos don't rack up a lot of views, but I do want to preface that I am only trying to share observation and not insults. I'm grateful to have learned about the opinions of my neighbors or people in the community, what they have to say about stuff. So where and when I disagree with someone's premise on the function of MART or the definition of patriotism, I'm only trying to share the opinion of one guy on the internet. These communities where I was were all polite, respectful, peaceful, and inviting to have me there. And I thought everyone there was a wonderful person, although some of their understanding of economics and ethics differ from me. Also, I will try to keep this PG-13 with the language, but sometimes my free speech gets the best of me. And I hope you enjoy the videos that accompany this stuff. For the most part, well, we'll see what happens. I'm just doing the audio recording right now. Welcome to episode 16C. In this episode, I want to talk to you about a conversation I had with a local pagan group, and the concept of patriotism had also come up there, partly because it's the 4th of July season, hence why I'm putting out these videos, as well as the fact that I did actually mention to them a little bit about the humanist conversation that I had, or at least that there was a meeting of that, I should say. I didn't really talk much about the conversation that the humanist offered. I did talk to them about like how I believe in the Constitution. And there's several things that I can talk about what they had talked about. There's two main things that I think I'm going to bring up. The first one is they did talk about the whole Pentagon thing in terms of paganism is also no longer recognized as a viable religion for service in the armed forces. And I think about what it actually means to be in the armed forces as a chaplain. Like, there was a time, like, I know that Army chaplains, if they religiously cannot perform a gay marriage, that they're not required to if their faith states so. And I used to be very respectful of that in the sense that, well, that is absolutely someone's freedom of religion. Like, if they don't feel comfortable performing that religious ceremony, they shouldn't be required to do it. But now, as I've grown, I've kind of been like, well, you know what? If you want to serve in the military, you could always be a medic or you could be a rifleman. Like, I'm not saying that you don't have to serve in the military. I'm just saying, what are we requiring chaplains to do? And in case you don't know, and this actually came up at the thing, besides religion, they do a lot of, let's just say, Red Cross things. Like, if the water heater breaks and it floods the basement and your wife needs to like take out a second mortgage just to kind of get the whole thing fixed. And meanwhile, you're in Iraq, like making certain that the bank can get your signature on some sort of piece of paper. Chaplains help out with a lot of things that have nothing to do with religion. It's just like being that like go-to guy for like, hey, dude, shit's crap. And I understand there's a war going on right now, but I literally have things that I'm worried about that are like more important to me right now than the fact that bullets are coming at me. And like you're literally so worried about this other stuff, you can't do your job in a war zone, right? Like it's dangerous for the entire crew to have your thoughts distracted, worrying about your wife and the water heater right now. But my rambling aside, my point is that if you're going to be a chaplain in the military, I think it's your job to respect everyone's religion because that's what a chaplain does. If you are, and I was talking about this in episode 16B, if for some reason, you are a Jew and you have to, or a rabbi, I guess I would say, if you are a rabbi that is serving as a chaplain, and that's how a lot of these chaplains are, they are actually ministers or leaders of faith within their own religion, and you have to behave like an imam and perform an Islamic marriage, and you're like, I can't do it because I don't believe that Muhammad is blah, blah, blah. Well, then don't be a chaplain. Like these are things that you as a chaplain should be doing, religiously. And, yeah, I agree with both the humanist and the pagans. And I would hope that the only people that I think that would disagree and think that it's a good idea to remove religions from the Pentagon in terms of like what ceremonies they might need to perform, like a pagan last rites or something. Um, it's just crazy that they wouldn't allow a chaplain to do, or they would tell a chaplain that they cannot order the chaplain to do it. I bet there's a lot of chaplains out there that are like, I don't give a crap about what Trump says. If somebody wants me to give them last rites, I'm going to give them last rites. Um, So yeah, I would say it would be the Christian nationalists. These people that have this idea that they think that the Constitution is the Bible, and it's like if you want to worship the Constitution, hey, join my club. I'm a libertarian. But if you want to worship Jesus, by all means, have your religion. But right now, I'm more patriotic to my country than I am to necessarily your God or anybody else's God. And I wish you could understand that if you gave a crap about the First Amendment and your freedom of religion. Because when I think about the right making fun of like the commie lefties who are using their free speech to talk about how oppressed they are and New York City or something like that with their megaphone and just like you. Oh, we're still in chains from the white man, like whatever these lefties are like using to like race bait shit, and they're like, think of how free you have to be to complain about that sort of stuff. Well, think about how free you get to be to like worship Jesus, and yet you wouldn't allow somebody else to worship a different God. Like, by all means, condemn me to hell. That's fine. I don't care about that. I can also condemn you to not worshiping my God's hell or whatever. Like it's fine. Um, but if you're going to be a chaplain in the military, like like this is government's kind of got to be like, look, man, not our thing. Like we don't do this stuff. We just are the government. We're not the religion. Anyway, and then the other thing that they talked about, and this actually again kind of got similar to humanism in what I would say that patriotism became success of left-wing policies. There was somebody there. His husband is a librarian. There was another person there that was a librarian. I think she worked at the state library as opposed to the county library. It doesn't matter. Think of the library as a very nice and cool service that I absolutely also have a library card and have used the library and understand its concept and its use. Um, but please also understand that it requires taxation. And like they were talking about delivering books to elderly or disabled persons. And I'm like, that's great. If you want to drive an Amazon truck and deliver things, including books, like I'm all for it. Obviously the person that's doing this is getting paid. I'm just saying like you could get paid by Amazon, you could get paid by tax dollars, and you could perform the same beautiful service. And I talked about that in episode 16B. This idea of libertarians are not opposed to good services, like having an opportunity to get books. When I think of Powell's Bookstore, which is an awesome bookstore in Portland, Oregon, I know I'm like not talking about Kansas right now, but as someone who doesn't even like really read much, like it does offer an absolute valuable service. And just the sort of virtue that they felt and the patriotic pride of their service to their community. And I'm like, but it required taxation, and it's just such a slippery slope that wasn't really. I mean, I kept my mouth shut. I was polite and I listened to them. And by all means, librarians are awesome. I'm not here to shit on librarians. Libraries and places of knowledge where people can access knowledge are awesome. But other services, I don't know. Anyway, that was basically what I got out of what patriotism meant to the pagans. They absolutely love the Constitution. They love their freedom of religion. They do tend to love a more communal society, based off of what might be more like a humanist or scientific approach to like free knowledge. Um, Knowledge is awesome, but maybe it isn't free. Why? Because it's valuable. And if you understand economics, you kind of get it. Now, I understand they have a heart and they're like, dude, knowledge has got to be free. Um, okay. I'm not opposed. I think there's a lot of ways to get knowledge out there. But like when I think of a centralized library as someone who's gone there when his computer was broken, like it's not just about going there for books. It does absolutely provide, as a community center. And if local taxes want to support a local community center, and that's what the Shawnee Library is like. And I understand why the state might need to, like, hey, we need a library of our laws so that way we can, like, do that stuff. I understand an overhead, if you will, for the state. I just like to make it as cheap as possible. and if it's a job that can get replaced by AI or an Amazon driver, I promise you, like there's local bookstores that if you're really into books, like people will pay money for it. Like you can still get paid being a librarian, more or less. It doesn't necessarily have to be from the tax dollar. Or you can provide a service and deliver goods to people's homes that like can't drive out, or hell, maybe they're just lazy. It is what it is. At least you get paid for it. So anyway, let's go ahead and call that for episode 16C. I had already kind of talked about at length about patriotism to me means the Constitution. I think I talked about that a lot more in episode 16B. So I'll just kind of leave that out there for now. Thank you for listening. Bye. So thank you for listening to this episode 16. And we'll be talking about Mart. We talked about patriotism to both humanists and to pagans. I hope I didn't ramble too long or say too many ums as I continue to do. I wanted to get this out. I'm already late behind. I was able to type up about half the script, which got you 16A and 16B. So thank you so much for listening. Please vote for me, Eric Herman, for Shawnee County District 1.